Hello guys, we're going to be bringing you a bit of a different video today. You probably see going to shove some Saxton Hale gameplay in the background here. That's not really relevant to what we're talking about, but hey, what the hell. We're actually going to be talking about the 3 recent blog posts, which have been on the teamfortress2.com website, which were move those maps up, move those weapons up, and move those votes up. Specifically today we're going to be talking about move those weapons up, talk about the weapon balance and things, and I'm using the phrase we because I'm here with Sturgis.
Up, hello ladies and gents.
It's been in a couple of videos before, just playing some Team Fortress. Yeah, so the first thing which they mentioned in this post about weapons was that they're going to be updating a lot of the, said dozens to put them specifically, of the weapons currently in the game. No mention of actually any new weapons. Specifically, one of them was the Battalion's Backup, which has been buffed. They are switching it to damage dealt as opposed to damage taken, which is making it a sort of a lower risk weapon, and still giving you the defensive bonus in the long run, though. However, they're basically doing this because only 15% of people that even owned one ever equipped it. What they were saying. I mean, what do you think about this, Sturgis?
I mean, I don't really use it. I mean, I can see its usefulness for pushes and keeping back, particularly on. I know we like Turbine, don't we? And I can definitely see how I might use it. Pushing for the intelligence or holding the intelligence on Turbine. But I still see alternatives like the Reserve Shooter and the Righteous Bison. They just seem like better all rounders. Seems very specific. Kind of just wasting an item slot just in case. ...
Yeah, I mean, in the rare occasion I have used it, not being a particularly good soldier, I have either not filled up my meter for the buff banner specifically, and I presume they'll be using that system, which will be 600 damage to fill up the bar. Although they may use the Contra system, which is only 480 damage, which may make it more interesting, actually.
I mean, it did mention in the blog post that they were potentially making the defensive effect stronger. If they're going to do that, I would probably guess that it would take the 600 damage to charge up the meter to full. But the other thing I'd like to bring up is that 15% figure. I'd like to know how they reached that number, because is that globally, or is that only looking at what people use on Valve servers? Because if it's only what people are using on Valve servers, then I'd like to argue that a Valve server isn't particularly a good cross-section of the community. Typically, you tend to get either extremely good players or extremely bad players on Valve servers. You don't tend to get, the middle ranges.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, well, that's probably enough about that. There's not really much to talk about in that case, but the next weapon you're going to talk about that, weren't you, Sturgis?
Yeah, so they've also mentioned that they're going to be nerfing the Deadringer, making the Deadringer a little bit worse. Not too much though; it doesn't look too bad on first look. Instead, what they're doing is damage taken whilst in the Deadringer cloak will reduce the remaining cloak time left. So if you feigned your death with the Deadringer, and you've still got that annoying NG shooting you, it's going to reduce the amount of time you've got to get out of there.
Yeah.
And the reason why they're doing this is on the blog post. They've said that it's people have been saying that it's frustrating to play against and it requires little spy skill. I mean, what do you think about
that? It's a very interesting point because anyone can grab the Deadringer, walk up, get hit by damage, and instantly be invisible, and people will initially think they're dead. But the key with the Deadringer is to be properly irritating and properly, say, overpowered with it, you actually do need to be a decent spy. Because simply running at someone and feigning death with taking 3 damage from a stray bullet, I think most people will notice that you're using Deadringer, and they're going to be listening out for a distinctive decloak sound, watching out for the spy, and it generally has a high level required to actually be good with it.
Not to mention also,
sorry. Yeah.
Not to mention also that I think even the dumbest engineer on the planet is going to be looking for a spy if they've been backstabbed 3 times by a spy they think they've killed.
Yes.
Even the dumbest edge on the planet is probably going to do some sort of pattern recognition and go, that spy might still be around, about to backstab me. Let me shoot around a bit and see if I can find him.
Yeah. Now, what they were saying though is, I think 80% of people use the Dead Ringer as opposed to the other watches. Now, I don't think that's down to the Dead Ringer being too powerful. I just think there's no reason to use the other ones.
I mean,
And yeah,
it comes back to this whole Team Fortress 2 or Me Fortress 2 kind of deal. If you've got if you've got a pyro on your sentry, if you've got a pyro looking out for spies in your nest, then it's going to make a Dead Ringer spy pretty much useless unless you've got a spy with outstanding skill. Whereas potentially maybe something like a cloak and dagger spy might be able to slip by, kill the pyro, and then concentrate on the sentry nest once the pyro's been stabbed. So the alternatives are there and do work, but I think probably the whole point of the Dead Ringer being popular is that there's whilst it is Team Fortress 2, and they're reasonably good at trying to keep a good team. Just the fact that people that play on servers tend to be a set of individuals, kind of makes the Dead Ringer powerful in that way.
yeah, okay. But I think we're gonna talk about other stuff now, because they have said they're actually going to be adjusting dozens of weapons. Now, with only two specifics they've actually mentioned, my question to you, Serge, is what other weapons would you like to see changed in this future update?
I mean, I think probably number one is I'm a big pyro fan. I do love my pyro. Play it quite a lot. You always get that derpy pyro fight. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's always frustrating when you're up against a Flodge pyro, Phlogistonator pyro, because you can pretty much guarantee if you're going up against a Phlogistonator pyro, and you are just having that derpy pyro fight where you're just holding flame on each other, you are going to lose.
Yes.
It's more or less guaranteed. It just seems like the Flodge. It's hard to nail down exactly what the problem is with the Flodge, because it's not. It does slightly less damage than a normal flamethrower. On paper it looks balanced. I think one of the main problems with the Phlogistica is that you've got that air blast taken away, which many people don't use. Still got this strong flamethrower. So maybe one way they could potentially change that is they would reduce the afterburn duration. So, it'd be slightly weaker, but you still get that reasonably strong flamethrower, but you don't get as much afterburn. So if you want to be a hold down mouse pyro, go for it. Just you won't have the afterburn to rely on.
Yeah, it is meant to be it's one of those particle type weapons. It isn't just standard flamethrower. It's on the line with the Thompson and the Cowmangler being a sort of lasery type weapon. Exactly. And maybe you could explain that it doesn't really need afterburn.
Yeah, no, exactly. And of course, the other major thing that's frustrating about the Flodge is that damn taunt. I tell you. You do a decent amount of damage. You can get a full month bar on maybe one Dead Ringer spy. You're lucky.
Yes.
And once you've got that month bar, you've got instant heal back up to full health and pure crits. Yeah. That just seems a little bit too easy just to sort of run in, maybe get 2 people to get a full month, maybe 3. And then you can taunt there. You're invulnerable while you're taunting. And then you are really super strong afterwards because you're dealing crits and you're at full health. Despite the fact you've just fought 3 people for it. Doesn't seem right to me.
Now what you could do there is, I think the crits are just ridiculous. Mini crits, I think, would make that better.
Yeah, mini crits would be definitely a way to go. And I know they've already, since the Phlogistonator came out, they've already turned down the invulnerability on the taunt, but I'd tone that down even a little bit more. Which is difficult to do, because it's whilst you're in that taunt, what it's actually doing is healing you. Maybe instead of the taunt actually healing you, what would happen is the taunt doesn't heal you during the duration of the taunt. Once you exit the taunt, it just gives you full health straight away.
Yeah, okay, it's interesting. Because that in itself could be overpowered, because you could be taking damage and suddenly you're back to full health at the end of the taunt. So what you could do is you get a certain amount of health given to you over that amount of time, But if you get taken damage in that time, like say that it gives you 175 health in total.
Yeah.
So if you've taken 100 damage in that time, you're only going to get 75 health back net.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting problem, the Flodge, because it's never really felt balanced.
It's never really felt balanced, but it's always looked to be balanced on paper. But
Yes.
Talking about something else that's generally causing a lot of controversy, I believe you've got one that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, playing a bit of Engineer recently, I've got a little bit back into Engineer, and the Thompson as a weapon, I know everyone talks about it as just being a horrible weapon. It just, if you go in and look at the stats you have, removes 10% Uber upon hit, removes 20% cloak upon hit, has infinite ammo, and is a projectile weapon that is not deflectable by air blast. I mean, you'd expect that because it's effectively a shotgun. Then at range, compared to the standard shotgun, it has no damage drop-off between medium and long range, which the standard shotgun has bullet spread. So the damage output just makes it such a spammable weapon, and that's the key here. All the weapons which have been balanced over the years, the Enforcer, for example, have been spam weapons that you can just keep firing at people and just keep dealing out damage with very little risk to yourself. I mean, the claimed disadvantage of the Thompson, less damage to buildings. Has anyone seen an engineer running out shooting other people's buildings? I don't think that happens.
It's a very good point. And of course, the other thing is that going back to that spamble thing, you had that old glitch with the pistols, whereas they could fast as far as you hit that button. So people just made scripts to get that super fast shooting pistol. I mean, again, it's all about the spam. One of the most important things about Team Fortress 2 is not what happens, how fast things happen.
Yes, definitely.
So, spammable weapons are a big problem. They might seem balanced on paper, but really, they're a big problem.
Yeah, I agree. Now, how am I going to change the Thompson? Well, either there are two options. Base damage could go down because really it's firing like a beam of pellets. So I don't know, reduce the number of pellets, because being a spam weapon, if you fire it along a doorway, there's an extended amount of time where those bullets are going across that doorway. You have a much higher percentage chance of hitting someone just by pure luck, no skill whatsoever, than using, for example, the shotgun, which is effectively an instant weapon.
But it's a hit scan, isn't it?
Yeah, hit scan. So yeah, or the damage fallout from medium to long range. That itself just defines those sort of weapons, where no matter how far away you're just pumping out these shots, so a map, like a doorway, the other side of the map, they're going to be doing the same damage as if someone was just like the other side of a control point from you. Whilst the shotgun, the engineer is not meant to be a ranged class.
Yeah.
The shotgun there is purely there to defend your engineer buildings.
Yep, exactly. If you want to play combat engie, go get yourself a mini sentry.
Yep, mini sentries. Anyway, moving on from that, I believe you're going to be talking about the Spicicle.
Yeah, the Spicicle. How we do love to hate the Spicicle sometimes around these parts. What can I say about the Spicicle? Well, it takes the natural predator of the spy and turns it into the spy's prey. You can, with the Spicicle, as long as you're a reasonably decent spy, which I don't claim to be by any stretch of the imagination, but a decent spy can easily 1v1 a pyro with the Spicicle and come off on top at least 50% of the time. The other problem with the Spicicle is that it encourages non-team play. It encourages the sit in a corner, camp and dagger spy with his Spicicle. He's not going to get found. He's hiding, just waiting for the right moment, which will never come, and he's not sapping sentries or helping the team in any way. That's one of the major problems, I think, with the Spicicle. Not particularly that it's that unbalanced, but it doesn't fit with the whole team-based idea.
Okay, yeah, this is Team Fortress 2. What do you expect? No one's going to work together, apparently.
Exactly. So, how would you change this? Well, I think one of the ways I would change it is that it would only consume the knife and protect against the flame damage when you are not cloaked.
Okay.
So, it reduces the pyro's effectiveness at spy checking, but it doesn't encourage the I'm going to sit in my corner and no one's ever going to find that I'm here problem.
Yes, that is one of the things with the bicycle, yeah.
Other ways that, maybe you could increase the duration that the knife is gone, but it seems nearly there, the Spicicle. It just seems to be a weapon in the wrong direction for the good of Team Fortress.
Another idea I was having, if you just hold the Spicicle out, maybe you could have it actually melt if you hold the Spicicle out the whole time. So you can't just rely on it as an instant saving if you're not paying attention. Exactly. You actually have to think about using it and bring it out.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, there's so many spies, keep their knife out, going, looking for the stab, when really they should be, trying to use their revolver a bit more. You are a spy. You have a gun.
Yes, definitely. Right. Well, that's an interesting point. But right. Finally, in this update, they've talked about weapon sets. More specifically, they're planning on getting rid of the weapon set bonuses. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the so-called poly count sets, so the Milkman, Tank Buster, Gas Jockey, Crocodile, and the Saharan Spy. I mean, personally, I've got all of those hats required. I've got all those sets. I use them regularly, with maybe the exception of the Tank Buster. So what they're planning on doing instead is, so for example, the Milkman's 25 health bonus. They're actually going to move these bonuses onto the individual items and instead give a non-gameplay affecting buff to the set to supposedly give something back to people that have invested in hats, which is interesting. So this brings up 2 points. First of all, Sturgis, how are they going to divide up these bonuses amongst weapons without making those weapons themselves overpowered?
Exactly, that's going to be the tricky part. And of course, the other big question is, how exactly, what is the non-gameplay effect? Kind of intriguing there, I think. So let's take probably 3 of these sets. Let's start with the Saharan Spy. So the Saharan Spy set, the effect of the set is that it reduces the decloak sound volume, but it gives you a 0.5 second longer cloak blink time. That is to say, if you are collided with whilst in cloak, you'll be slightly visible for 0.5 seconds longer than you would be normally. So where would we shove that? Where would these effects go? The Saharan Spy set, of course, being comprised of the L'Étranger, the Your Eternal Reward, and the Familiar Fez. Difficult one. It is a tricky one.
Yeah. The silent decloak is the main reason you use this. I mean, it almost exclusively is used with the Deadringer, which we were talking about earlier. Now, obviously, you can't put it on the Deadringer because that would both ruin the Deadringer when it's not actually part of the set.
Yep.
Now, I think the best place for this is going to be, I reckon, is the Your Eternal Reward.
It seems to fit with the whole quickness element of the YER for sure. The whole point of that when you backstab an enemy, you're instantly disguised as that enemy. And the sort of the reduced decloak. Got to ask, would that make it too overpowered? It'd be interesting to sort of experiment with.
I know that you should definitely give it a go. Of course, they could use this so-called this Team Fortress 2 beta, which hasn't changed in many years. I haven't looked at it recently. Yes, definitely. What's the next one?
Blink time? Where would you put that?
I don't know. I've really never paid much attention to blink time.
But I mean, something that I've always noticed with revolvers is that a lot of them have this damage penalty.
Yes.
In fact, most of them do. So maybe it'd be something where you could reduce the damage penalty on the L'Étranger, but in return have this 0.5 second longer cloak blink time effect on it as well.
Yeah, that's an idea. So what are the other 2 sets we were going to look at?
Well, I thought we'd look at the Milkman or the Special Delivery item set.
Okay.
So that has the effect of plus 25 max health on wearer. I know you use this set a lot, SM.
Running over a fish, hitting people, and having extra health, and being able to heal yourself with the Mad Milk is exceptionally fun, I have to say.
So where would you put the 25 health? Would you split it up? Would you put it on a specific weapon?
Well, the one place you cannot put it on the fish, because the fish is effectively your standard melee weapon. Only, I mean, it shouts fish kill, whatever. But you cannot you can't have a straight upgrade melee weapon.
Exactly.
That's out of the question. Shortstop. The shortstop is, I don't think it's used as much as the other scout scattergun, simply because it's not as in your face as, say, you walk up to someone with a scattergun, you fire a couple of shots into them, like big meat shots that most of your pellets hit. That's going to do a lot of damage. The shortstop is sort of more of a mid-range weapon, which many scouts you seem to use, say, a cleaver or a pistol in that situation. So
Yeah.
you could maybe put all of it on there, and maybe slightly tweak the damage.
What do you think
or the
about
Mad Milk?
I was about to say, what do you think about putting all 25 on the Mad Milk?
Now that's interesting, because the Mad Milk is a weapon designed to effectively give the scout more staying power in a battle.
Yep.
Because your average scout, you run in, few quick hits, you get out of there. The Mad Milk, you chuck it in, and you can stay longer. You get healing for doing damage, like as a reward for that.
Yeah.
So you're more likely to be able to take on larger enemies. Probably not a heavy individually, unless you jump on his head and he doesn't know where you're going. Which seems to be how most people tackle heavies these days. But someone like a soldier that would tend to be able to kill you in maybe a couple of rocket hits, or one if you're unlucky. You get a couple of shots on him, and you're back to full health, and you can maybe get away safely.
Yeah, maybe it'd be something where you could tone down. I mean, typically, Milk restores 60% of the damage to the attacking player's health. Maybe you could tone that down, 50, 40, who knows, in return for having that 25 health. Of course, another option is that you'd split up that health, but then you get the odd 10 here and the odd 15 there, and it feels a bit forced, I would say, to split it up like that. It would feel as if they were trying to force, getting rid of the item set. So
yeah, I know what you mean. But they've got to keep the general principle of these item sets, because people have invested time. And speaking of which, the big question is, what are they going to have which are non-gameplay changing? And what is the point of having that?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's Hat Fortress 2, so people care about effects. Maybe they could shove some interesting effects on the set. So if you're the milkman, you get floating milk bottles or something like that. I don't see it really.
Or maybe you get some sort of taunt. Maybe by having the milkman equipped, you get a special taunt for that set. That's an option.
Taunts are quite fun. I mean, like the Shred Alert.
You do love your Shred Alert.
Well, Sturgess here is often seen high-fiving random people.
The high five is my taunt.
Now, finally, we have the Croco style set.
Correct, the Croco style kit, another polycount set released as part of the Manconomy update. Sniper. Then the main effect of the kit is that the wearer cannot be killed by headshots.
Interesting.
Yeah. This is also known as the Two-Fort Dickwad set.
Definitely. Now, where on earth are you going to put that bonus? Because that's a very, very specific bonus.
That is a very specific bonus.
Bushwhacker is, again, melee weapons. That just wouldn't make any sense. It's a headshot thing. And the Bushwhacker itself is already a good combination without that set.
Precisely.
Being in as part of the Girardi combo, which many snipers seem to use. Darwin's Age Shield, maybe.
It could potentially go on there.
If you can somehow show it.
It is a shield after all. And because because it's a shield and it's visible, you've already got some sort of visible there. Maybe make the item a bit more visible from the front in order to make it more clear. But it could also go on the Sydney Sleeper. The Sydney Sleeper really isn't used that much.
Yeah, and the Sydney Sleeper itself cannot deal headshots.
It can, but they just don't crit. So
yes, it cannot affect. It doesn't use head. There's no sense in shooting someone's head when you can shoot their body.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Could go on perhaps both there.
Now, what I'm thinking is the Darwin's Danger Shield. You could almost do it in the sense you don't physically block headshots, because, I mean, it doesn't block headshots, it just stops you being killed by them. You end up on 1 health, standardly. Now, your standard quickscope headshot does 150 damage, and the Darwin's Danger Shield gives the sniper 150 health.
Yeah.
So why didn't you just ram that up to maybe 155 health?
Yep, that's an option.
So instead of getting rid of, or instead of giving it the straight and can't be killed by headshots, you effectively give them enough health to tank a headshot for your standard quick scope battle. I mean, you should still reward snipers for being able to somehow hard scope and kill another sniper.
Yeah.
And have that charge.
I mean, the other option is again the split up, and I think potentially the split up in this case could work quite well. So instead of the wearer cannot be killed by headshots, maybe both the Sydney Sleeper and the Darwin's Danger Shield maybe have, minus 25% damage from headshots on both of them. But when you equip both together, you get, half the damage from headshots, something like that.
Yeah, that has got potential.
So changing the overall effect, but, same end. But one of the main reasons why they're talking about they want to change these set bonuses, what was their main reason for wanting to change these?
Well, they were saying that people were getting restricted by them. The people felt that was the only way to go, and I can't really remember now what exactly they said in the post.
I mean, also they mentioned that it was difficult to tell on sight that I can't headshot that sniper. He's got the full set equipped. You can't see his melee weapon. How am I supposed to know? But you can't tell on sight that that spy is going to decloak silently. I better watch out. It's very difficult to tell on sight, and that's a very critical part of a lot of the design decisions within Team Fortress 2. I mean, talking about one of the other blog posts very briefly here, move those votes up. They're talking about community-made miscellaneous items. They're talking about, how well does it complement other items in the game? Does it interfere with class identification? Does this item put on a medic? Does it still look like a medic when that medic wears that item? So, being able to tell what something is on the site is a critical part of TF2, in Valve's opinion.
Yes.
So maybe instead of moving the bonuses to weapons, they could attempt to make sets more visible. So let me take the Crocodile set. Maybe if you try and headshot a Crocodile set sniper, you get a sort of a blocked text pop up on headshot, much like the miss that you get pop up when you try and hit a bonk scout.
Okay.
The special delivery set, the Milkman set. Maybe the Milkman could have healing icons around the hat to show that this scout has had extra health because he has the full set equipped.
Yeah. Some of the others are more tricky. The Saharan Spy, you can't make it more obvious it's a silent decloak because it's a silent decloak. But maybe once you get killed by said spy, it said this spy was using the Saharan Spy set instead of just telling you, hey, look, he's got a nice hat.
I mean, again, something else you could do, I'm not sure how plausible this would be, but maybe the Fez could have, I don't know, some sort of, ear defenders that it puts on you if you've got the full set. So just trying to somehow convey silence.
Yeah, Team Fortress 2, they very much like their visibility and the ability that once you see what your enemy is doing, that you are able to adapt and be able to counter it.
Yep. I mean, they've said on the blog themselves that it's all an ongoing process. They want to provide more choices, more variety, more clarity. But they want to know what the community thinks. So, let's hear it. Let's hear what you want to think. Let's hear what you think. Let's hear what you want.
Yeah. If you've got any comments to make about this, feel free to leave them in the description. We're going to be talking later on. Hopefully, if we can get on with these maps, have a look at them. Haven't been many servers with them on at the moment, mainly because they haven't officially been released as Valve maps. But hopefully we'll talk about them later. Maybe have to wait until the actual update comes out. But we may also talk about other people's comments about the weapons later on. So be sure to talk about those. I'm going to try and keep you guys updated on any future TF2 updates. maybe post out a few more Team Fortress 2 videos. But yeah, we'll probably leave that there for now.
That's all from me.
Okay, and that's all from me. I don't know why I copied what you just did there. But yeah, see you guys next time. Goodbye.